Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining. We are looking into dealing with data in Flutter. Okay. So far we have covered three topics. Okay. The first three topics we have covered. I will just give a brief about what we have covered, and then we'll go ahead with the Firebase stuff. Okay. So whenever you want to store some small key values, like a single value, like number of times the app is opened, okay, these key values locally, you have to use these shared preferences. Okay, they are just like cookies for websites. Okay, but cookies actually expire automatically, but for shared preferences they won't expire automatically. Okay, so whenever if you want to store a very small value and keep track of something, then shared preferences is something you can actually try. Okay, and the next option what we have is SQLite. Okay, so if you want a mobile database, okay, a database that sits on mobile phone, and you are not bothered about syncing that data to some internet, and like you are not bothered about taking that data away. Okay, then in such cases SQLite is something you can try. Okay, SQLite is a mobile database that sits on the mobile itself, and then you can actually create some tables, insert some values. Okay, something like that. Okay, so it's good for uh, storing some data in tables format when you don't want to depend on internet. Okay, so for example, you did some quiz app, right? Like probably since you are not aware of dealing with data at that time, you have used some list of values. Okay, you can actually move that list of values to SQLite. Okay, and then web APIs. So you guys have learned Oracle or MySQL as part of your academics, right? So if you want to interact with such kind of databases, web API is something you should be using, because Oracle, MySQL or SQL Server, there are so many databases. Okay, these databases are relational databases. These relational databases sit on some server. Okay, they can't run on mobile phone. Okay, they can't run on mobile phone. They are sitting on some server where you have to connect to them to interact. Okay, so you can't directly write some code that connects to your databases remotely. Okay, you need a you need some code. Okay, if it is Oracle, you have to create some Java application which will exposes the Oracle databases to outside world through web APIs. Okay, so if you want to learn more about web APIs, you need to learn about what is REST APIs, and then SOAP. SOAP is a old technology, okay, which is not like maybe 10% of APIs uses it now. Okay, so don't bother much about SOAP, but understand the differences between SOAP and REST API. But and then in general web APIs, like when the data is exposed to internet, they are APIs. Okay, they are web APIs. Okay, and REST is an architectural pattern. SOAP is the another option, but in general when you are exposing data, they are web APIs. Okay, it doesn't have to be REST API or SOAP API. Okay, they are general web APIs. Okay, so as I said, like REST API is a pattern which will deal about get, put, delete, and update. Okay, I think, yeah. Okay, so if you want these kind of functionality with your APIs, you have to go with REST APIs. Okay, if you want to go beyond this stuff, they are web APIs. Okay, but everything will be very much similar. Okay, so but as I said, when you join some company, there will be people who will be creating these web APIs. Okay, being a mobile developer, you don't have to bother about it. As long as they give some they will give you some site. Okay, these are the web APIs available and you can use it. You have to explore some explore, not explore, yeah, spend some time on understanding those APIs, how they function, and then you can do it. Okay, like in order to understand more about web APIs, I will share you some resources. In my next class, what I will do is I will share you some resources how you can take your learning further. Okay, so in my next classes, like I will share you some resources. For example, if I when I was covering SQF Lite, I didn't actually share you about the resources. Okay, when I'm doing about Web API, I didn't share you about anything about resources. Okay, resources in the sense what websites you can go. Okay, where you can learn further. Okay, in order to learn very in depth, then you need to actually understand about resources as well. Okay, so these are the three things we already covered. Today we are going to cover about Firebase. Okay, so when it comes to Firebase, I'm going to show some basic example. Okay, but that is a very like very limited part of Firebase. Okay, Firebase itself will be like a whole big topic, but whatever I'm going to share is very much essential for you to explore Firebase. Okay, you can use this as a starting point to explore Firebase, and then you can learn further. Okay, even myself, I have to take my learning further in this area. Okay, but anyways, uh, like I am going to share some basic example, like where I will be creating a kind of messaging app. Okay, a messaging app, and then you will really understand, okay, this is the potentiality of Firebase. Okay, then you can actually take your learning further, and then I'm pretty sure that whatever example I'm going to share you, you will be very much excited to learn about it. Okay, this is entirely a kind of different thing what we are doing from doing this entire course. Okay, so what I personally think is, like, when you after seeing this example, you will feel like, oh, this is okay, this is how it is achieved in mobile apps. Okay, you will get such kind of feeling. Okay, and then you start thinking what else I can do. Okay, by using the same logic I can do these things. Okay, I can create an app where if somebody scans something, everybody will get the update. If somebody sends a message, everybody will get the update. Okay, so these kind of things are actually possible using Firebase. Okay, uh, but just see this example how this can be achieved, and then take your learning further, take your ideas further. Okay, and then okay, so we have explored shared preferences, SQL, SQF Lite, and Web API. Okay, compared to all these topics, Firebase is very simple and very easy to learn. Okay, but it needs some initial configuration which needs to be done. Okay, so I'm going to go through each and every step. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, actually I did some sample project. Okay, so I have this sample project which has this Firebase example ready. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to share this code with you guys, right? I'm going to keep this aside, but what I'm going to do now is I'll do everything from the scratch. Okay, like on a purpose, I didn't practice this example also. Okay, I didn't practice this example because I really want to show you that how this can be achieved when you are doing it all by yourself. In my mind, I don't know how to do these examples, and I am going to start everything from scratch. But anyways, tomorrow I will be sharing you some resources where you can learn, where you can take your Flutter learning forward. Okay, so I'm giving this aside just for reference. Okay, so I'm going to create a new project here. So what we'll be doing is we are going to develop a small messaging app. Okay, so where people can post their message and everyone else who is using that message can get the update. Okay, so I'm going to create a project, Firebase example. Okay, let me give some random name. One. Okay, Firebase one example. Okay, so whenever I'm naming these projects, right, I should not use some common names. Okay, because we have to be careful. Like if that common name get matched with some other packages or something like that, you might see some issues. So let's try, like, uh, let's make a you try to make a unique name. Okay, give a good name uh, where you think that framework will not use. Okay, so I just created this project. Open the emulator. Okay, so first of all, we will write a very small program to see whether our Flutter SDK and everything is running fine on it. Okay. See, the reason why I'm not running the counter app itself is, like, what will happen in programming is when you don't code every day, or like if you are left away from coding like for a month, then you will lose the touch. Okay, that's why every time I write something, I will try to code, right? Like, I will give more importance to typing rather than copy pasting or using the existing stuff. Okay, my app. And I certainly enjoy writing this initial part of code because this gives me a feeling like I'm doing things from scratch. Okay, I'm going to give app bar as well. Okay, so now let's run this and see if it loads fine or not. So it is working fine. So no issues with my SDK. So the next thing what we need to do is, so now you decided to use Firebase for your program, right? So you need to create some Firebase database. Okay. So about Firebase database, right? Like Firebase is a cloud option given by Google. Okay, so we have Google Cloud and everything where you can host your apps, but Firebase is a cloud database option given by Google itself. Okay, so Firebase is owned by Google. So let me just Google Firebase here, and then you can see that it takes you to firebase.google.com. Okay, so for testing purposes, this stuff is easy, like this stuff is free. Okay, for not only for testing purposes, for initial things, these things are free. Okay, so let me click on get started and see. So it takes me to some projects. Okay, so I'll come here. So if you go to pricing, so it says that free, generous limit to get started, and then it is giving some free features, and then you can see that it has got some authenticate, like 10K per month free stuff. Okay, stored data 1 GB in total, like network 10 GB per month. Okay, document rights 20K per day, 50K per day. Okay, so they have given some options. Okay, like all this stuff, right? This stuff speaks about how much you have to pay for your project, but this is free for initial days. Okay, so yeah, like meeting 10 GB per request per month is like your app should be really like very should be a very successful app. Okay, in order to reach this cap. Once that amount is reached, you have to go for this Blaze plan. Okay, right now we are going to go with Spark plan. Okay, so where whatever we are going to do is almost free, but some of the options are not visible, like not available. Okay, some of the options are not available. Okay, so multiple databases per project is not available. Okay, multiple buckets per project is not available. Like don't worry about these terminologies. Okay, because we're not going to look into it right now. Okay, but our intention is to use Firebase in our app. As long as it is free to use, we are going to go ahead and start using it. Okay, so after going through this, I realized that okay, this is free to use, at least for development purpose. Okay, forget about rolling out your app and rolling out your app. Forget about rolling out your app, but for development purpose, it is free. But as per this table, even after you rolled out to production, and your app is having like 100 users or 200 users, still it will be free. Okay, because it has to reach these caps, then only they'll start charging you money. Okay, and the good thing about this is you don't have to provide your credit card details also. Okay, at least it didn't ask me. Okay, maybe check in your case whether it will ask you or not, but in my case I don't think like I don't recall whether it has actually asked or not. Okay, so we are going to go with the free option. Okay, so the reason why many companies provide a free option is cloud is a very competitive field. Okay, so if you take Microsoft has got Azure. Okay, and if you take Amazon has got AWS, and these companies are actually making money through cloud services. Okay, so they're actually helping companies to begin with their apps. Okay, apps or websites, whatever, without any infrastructure. Okay, so cloud is all about helping companies to not to own their infrastructure, but these companies, Microsoft, Google, AWS, they will own the infrastructure, and then we will place our code in their infrastructure. Okay, in this case we are just we are placing our database in the cloud. Okay, but in case of websites like that, we will actually place our websites in cloud. Okay, if you are going for cloud, okay, only if you are going for the cloud, you will place your website in the cloud. If you are not going for cloud, you will be purchasing your own infrastructure, or purchasing some infrastructure from some company, and then you are going to put all the code over there. Okay, the benefit of going to cloud is they can scale. Okay, like I want all you guys to understand what exactly scaling means. Okay, just imagine like some individual guy has developed some game. Okay, uh, game like PUBG, and then it has become a overnight success. Okay, if if you are going with your own infrastructure in these cases, like and when you are planning your infrastructure and releasing your game, you thought like okay, I will have 1,000 users, and this infrastructure is fine. Okay, I like let me have 32 GB RAM, this CPU processor, and then network bandwidth of this. Okay, and this much, like I am going to put SSD, so that even if I have 1,000 players at a time, everything will work fine. Okay, that is how we think about infrastructure. Okay, and then you rolled out your app, but like fortunately you got 1 lakh users. Okay, where you plan your infrastructure for only 1,000 users, and then the game has become immense success, and 1,000 like 1 lakh people are trying to use your app. Okay, but what will happen? App will crash, and then what you have to do is you immediately have to go to the market, get some CPUs, get some RAM, get some hard disk, and then you have to expand your infrastructure. Okay, so tomorrow what will happen is, well, 1 lakh people are able to use your app, but by the time your infra is down, what happened is so many people has lost their interest. Okay, hey, this is crap. Okay, like I'm going to leave, and they will go for other apps. So at the end, if 1 lakh people are trying to use your app, and if 50,000 people are frustrated, you will remain with 50,000 people. Again, if you want to gain that 50,000 people, you have to advertise, you have to think about your infrastructure and all this stuff. Whereas if you have your app running on top of cloud, what you can do is you can add RAM, hard disks, or processing power, whatever you want, within minutes, without downtime. Okay, from a web portal. Okay, when I say web portal, it's a site. Okay, so it will be a kind of dashboard. Okay, see, whenever we have this go to console, it actually loads it. Okay, so if I click on something like this, it will actually load some internal option. These kind of things are called portals. Okay, but anyways, these are also websites, but these are, I prefer them calling portals. Okay, portals are dashboards. Okay, so this is where cloud actually helps applications to scale overnight. Okay, within minutes. Okay, like you have so many users, you scale it. And if you don't have that many users, like you plan, like, okay, I'll have 1 lakh users when I release this app, and you haven't got that many users for 1 week, then what you will do is you will reduce your infrastructure immediately just by going through some websites, and then like you can save costs on your app. Okay, so it's like pay as you go options. Okay, like as you see, there are so many of pay as you go. Okay, but when it comes to other things, there will be so many options for each and every. See, not you'll not see options only here. For example, if you take hosting will have tens, like maybe for 3 to 5 plans. Okay, especially when it comes to storage, right? Storage will have so many plans. Okay, like some sites will offer basic HDD like a hard disk. Some companies will offer SSD. Like sometimes you'll need only tape in the sense, like in movies you'll see, right? So some old infrastructure, it will be like that. Okay, where you really don't want a quick access of your files. Okay, then you will realize, like, okay, I don't need a quick access for these files. It's okay if I ask retrieval for this file, and if it takes 1 day, it's okay. Then you will move that to some tape. Okay, where it will cost so much less compared to HDD. Compared to SSD, it will cost so much less. Okay, so these kind of choices you will actually make. Okay, and then cloud actually helps you with this. Cloud infrastructure helps you to scale your apps in minutes. Okay, all you have to be is you have to be aware of how to use their console, and then how to expand. Okay, as you can see, there are so many options. Okay, hosting, functions, machine learning. Okay, so but trust me, you don't have to learn all this stuff for our mobile apps. So okay, that's about cloud. Okay, pricing and everything. Okay, give me a second. So let's see how we can use this in our app. Okay, so actually there are two options available here. One is the real-time database. Okay, so real-time database, store and sync data in real time. The other option is cloud Firestore. Okay. So I have tried using the real-time database and cloud Firestore. Okay. So and I feel like cloud Firestore is something that is more suitable for our Flutter apps. Okay. If you have created something in real-time database, like real-time database is not only uh, like difficult to use, even the data population, everything is very difficult to use. Okay, if you want to explore real-time database, I will leave that to you. Okay, but as part of our example, we are going to use cloud Firestore. Okay, so I'm not going to use this project itself, like I'm going to go back and create a separate project. Okay, so let me close this. So I'm going to click on console. I'm going to create a new project here. Okay, so in your case will be not seeing anything here. Okay, I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to give a project name which will be messaging app, and then click on continue. So I will leave these options by default. Okay, I really no need this, but I will leave it, and then select an account and then create a project. So you are actually creating some database, like okay, we're not creating database exactly, we are creating an app that takes some space in the cloud. Okay, we're actually creating an app that takes up some space in the cloud now. Okay, so now our project is ready. So once the project is ready, okay, so now we have to create a database. Okay, so what I can do is, like, let me go through this. Like, here you can get started by adding Firebase to your app. Okay, I need to click Android. So now I need to, like, the plan is to add Firebase to my app, right? I need to fill this form which will actually give me some file, and I need to load that file into my app in order to use Firebase. Okay, so it is asking for Android package name. If I go here, it says that your package name is generally application ID in your app level build Gradle file. Okay, I'm going to go here. Give me a second, guys. So I'm going to go to my app, go to this Android folder. Okay, it is saying that build Gradle will have some name. Okay, so here I don't have it. Let me go to this app folder, open this build Gradle, and let's see here if I can find something. Okay, see here I have got the application ID. Okay, so application ID is something that is auto generated when you create in Visual Studio Code. Okay, when you create the same app in Android Studio, that will actually ask you to give a name. I think it might be by default populated, or you can actually change it. Okay, so usually it will be like a reverse of domain name. Okay, so instead of having firebase one example.com, it will be like com.example.fire, like firebase one example. Okay, I can give whatever I want here when I'm actually doing Android, but when I'm doing using Visual Studio Code, I need to ensure that wherever this is used, I have to change it. Okay, like I need to search my whole project and ensure that everywhere it is changed. Okay, in our case, since we are going to do a basic example, we are not bothered about it. Okay, so I'm just copying paste this name and going here and then copy pasting it. Okay, I can give a app nickname which is optional. Okay, let me not give anything. Okay, debuggings debug signing certificate. Okay, I'm not aware of what it is, so I leave it. Okay, because it is saying optional, right? Whenever it is optional, we don't have to bother about it. But it might be more related to signing. Okay, sign, like, see, this signing and certificate, right? So these things are related to, like, often more related to running something with more permissions than actual required. Okay, so these are related to authentication. Okay, authentication, like you are going to authenticate someone using something else. Okay, it is more related to authentication, running something with more privileges. Okay, just imagine a scenario. You have a laptop, you created some guest user, and you want to create some extra privileges for that guest user to run something. Okay, then like, these concepts like certificates can be used to provide more options for him to run some apps with extra privileges. Okay, especially when it comes to databases, we can use these certificates to allow user to run something where he is not having full rights on it. Okay, full rights are like, it will actually allow someone to gain some extra privileges. Okay, it like, when it comes to certificates and signing, these are some advanced topics, I can say. But uh, like, it's often related to running something with more privileges. Okay, but so don't worry about it now. When situation comes, you'll obviously learn about it. Okay, in our case, we are not touching, we are not exploring it more. Okay, I'm going to click on register app now. Now it has actually created a config file, so let me download it. So I have got the file created. So it is having some bracket 3, right? So, like, probably because I have multiple files with that same name, that is why it is showing like that. Okay, now what I need to do is, I need to drag and drop it somewhere over here. Okay, so I'm quickly going to check where I have to drop it in my old application. Okay, in the app where I did it. So it is in the app folder. Okay, app folder, I'll go here, and then rename it properly. So if you quickly check this file, it is having some Firebase URL. Okay, so let's see what this URL will have. Just go here. Okay, it takes you to the console. Okay, it takes you to some real-time database option. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so it is having some storage bucket, project ID. Okay, so don't bother much about it. Okay, we are not going to change anything from this. Okay, now at this point, we have downloaded the configuration file. Okay, there is one more setting which we have to do. Okay, I will, let me check it. Okay, so you need to go to this build.gradle file, and then you have to change the min SDK version. Okay, to 21. So 21 is something like, if your min SDK version is 16, Firebase is not supported. So you have to target with 21 and above. Okay, so this part of code usually speaks about which versions of Android you are targeting. Okay, so there are multiple versions of Android SDK, right? So you have to give 21. If your SDK version is below 21, it will not work fine. Okay, so you have to give it. I think this is not speaking exactly about the Android version that your mobile is running. It's more about the software development kit version. Okay, it's not about mobile OS version. Okay, okay, so that's fine. So now we are actually ready to use, like, I think we are ready to use. Give me a second. I think we need to add some more stuff. Okay. Okay. So I recall adding something in one of the files, right? Right now I am unable to recall it. Okay, that's fine. What we'll do is we will move ahead and then see if we hit some errors. Okay, and then we will try to identify what is the exact thing we have missed. Okay, if we have missed, obviously it will fail, right? If we haven't missed, it will get succeed. Okay, so now let's consider that we are actually ready to use Firebase in our app. Okay, so now what we need to do is you need to go to the files. You need to add the Firebase reference in your YAML file. Okay, so you need to go to pub.dev and you need to pick the right Firebase. Okay, so when I search for Firebase, you can see there are so many packages which are being written. Okay, so the one which we are going to use is, okay, it has to be cloud Firestore. Okay, so if you go here, go to console. So let me open some existing project. So you can see that we are going to explore flight like cloud Firestore, but not real-time database. Okay, so here we have to search for Firebase cloud, and then again number of things have released like shown. Okay, so this is the one which we are going to use because this is from Firebase. I think many other things are also from Firebase. So this is from Firebase. It's messaging. Okay, lets you reliable delivery message. Okay, we can we actually go with our purpose, right? So this is one what we are going to use. These things you can actually try to explore because it says the file-based cloud messaging. Maybe it is more related to messaging. Okay, but anyways, this is what something we are going to use. I think the reason why they have multiple packages for same thing is uh, like in order to have an impact on the overall app size. Okay, so if the package is loading so many stuff into your app, your overall app size will get increased. Okay, so it's all about project optimization. Okay, so now I'm going to use this. Okay, so it is working fine. So let's go to main.dot file. So here we are actually going to write our Firebase app. Okay, now we are ready to use Firebase. Okay, so for creating the message app, we have to create some user interface, right? So let me remove this. So the app is still running, right? So I'm going to uh, use a column children. Okay, text form field. So for sending messages, we need a text form, right? So this is the one. And then on top of it, we need a list view. Okay. Okay, so we need a list view. So let me make this text form field actually functional by adding a controller. Okay. Okay, text editing controller we have to give. Okay, so let's make this final. So now at this point, we have got a text form field, but it is not showing on the screen, right? Okay, so like we need to adjust it. Like we next to text form field, we need to have some send button, right? So we have to add it like this. Okay, we need to have those things in row, right? Raise it button. So I'm trying to make some corrections to the UI, guys, so that everything will be visible. Okay. So you can see that now the text form field and send button are actually appearing. Okay, so let me add some padding to this. Okay, so I want to show some like some text here, right? Okay, so it is also showing. Okay, okay, so when I reverse the list view, you can see that messages have come at the bottom. Okay, so if I have more messages like this, what will happen is, okay, you can see that the messages have started appearing like this. Okay, I can give something like Srikanth, Sham. Okay, so these kind of things will actually appear like messages. So let me add some padding as well. Let me do one thing. Let me add a row. One will have only the name. The other thing will have the actual message. Okay, now also it looks same. Okay. Okay, so now we have, so we have some name as well as some message. Okay, so what we are doing is we are just creating a template. Okay, and then we'll add some padding over here. So let me make it here. So the message, like whenever some message is typed here and then send is clicked, that message has to appear over here. Okay, so let's see how we can achieve it. So far we have created the template only. Okay, now we actually need to access this Firebase from our app. Okay, so we have downloaded this file. Okay, it is done, and then we have changed the Min SDK version. Like somewhere I feel like I missed some one more change which I need to do. That is fine. Like I know how to figure it out. Okay, and because I'm certainly not sure whether I actually missed or not, I'm continuing with my project, because sometimes when I'm actually practicing stuff, what I will do is, like, rather than fixing the issues at initial stages itself, I'll continue further and see what errors it will generate. So this kind of approach, what actually does is, it will help me to hit some errors and then try to understand that, okay, so this is the error that we get if we miss something, and then I will dig back, okay, why this error has happened, and then we will actually try to fix that issues. Okay, because the reason why fixing issues is more important is, just imagine an app is rolled out and you are recruited to support that project, and then there is a bug in your app, and then you have to know, right, what has went wrong. Okay, you have to do some reverse engineering, you have to understand stuff. Okay, what is the error, why it might have happened, you have to Google it. Okay, all these kind of things. So that is the reason why it's okay if you place some bugs in your app and then later resolve it. Okay, we're not doing it purposefully, right? We feel like, okay, this is sufficient, and then later we have identified some bugs, then we are fixing it. This is something what we are not doing purposefully. Okay, we are, like, these are unintentional bugs. Okay, okay, we'll go to next. So okay, now here we got something. What it says is, the Google Services plugin for Google loads Google Services JSON file that was just downloaded. Okay, yeah, I think this is what I mean about missing it. Okay, so now project build.gradle file, and then we have to add this Google. Okay, so project build.gradle. Yeah, I think this is the file. Okay, build scripts, and then we have, I think this is the part. Okay, let me check it. Okay, Google is already loaded here, and then if you go to dependencies, we have this path which I need to copy. Okay, and then in all projects we need to have this Google. Okay, whether we have Google or not. Yeah, Google is there. I think this is the only stuff. App level, app module build Gradle file. Okay, there is one more file which we need to modify. I think app build Gradle file. It says apply plugin. So let me do one thing. I'll just search it in my app. So this is the existing app which I developed, right? I'm just going to click this search and then search where I have actually made the changes. Okay, it looks like I haven't included these changes in my practice app also. Okay, so app module. So apply plugin is there. Apply plugin com. Okay, let me check. Yeah, I can see I have added this in my practice app also. Dependencies, we have this. So we need to add. Okay, for some reason this line is not there in my practice app, but however it is working. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this means that if you like, if you're not including this line, Firebase Analytics will not work. Okay, so that's fine. So I'm going back here. So now all these changes are actually added. So whatever I was saying about we missed something, we have actually added, which is really good. I'm going to. It is saying that press sync now in the app bar that appears in the ID. So actually in Visual Studio Code, we don't have that sync now button. Okay. So what I'll do, like what I did was I'm just going to pubspec.yaml file and then click on get package, get packages. Okay, so now all good. So now I need to go to main.dart file and then I need to add the necessary logic that is required for us to access this. Okay, before that, like let me finish this setup. Okay, so in this step they are saying run your app to verify installation. Okay, so I think I need to run this app. Okay, so let me stop this and then just run it. Okay, so the app is loaded now. Okay, so I just click previous and click next, and then it says that you have successfully added Firebase to your app. Okay, so we have to run our app to verify this installation. Continue to the console. Okay, so now we need to add some database to our app. Okay, so like we at least need some initial skeleton, right, for our app to function. So we are going to create that. So for that I'm going to go through this cloud file store. So here I'm going to create a database. Okay, let me click here. I'm going to select the test mode. Okay, which will which will allow everyone to access it. Okay, so this is the option we can quickly test. I think probably the locked mode also should work because we have actually configured everything in our app, right? So anyways, I didn't try this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with the test mode. If you want, you can try this locked mode and see how it goes. Okay. Okay, so okay, I don't want to go here. I want to check this one. Okay, so for some reason, even though the initial screen says that it is a cloud file store database, it didn't create that. It has created a database here. Okay, I don't want to use this option because this is like when I tried this out, this doesn't works as expected. Okay, so I can just go to cloud file store and then just create a database. Okay, like I actually need to select some location based on it actually depends on which location uh, like the servers are located. Okay, and where you'll have most of the user base. Okay, for since we are from Asia, we can select something from Asia. Okay, so I'll select Asia South because we are a down part of Asia, right? Maybe actually we can try to Google and find out where exactly the servers are. Whatever near to our location, we can try to pick that up. So for this example, I'm going to select South Asia and then enable. So now we have a database that is set up. Okay, I'm going to click on start collection and I'm going to give some collection ID. So it will be messages. Okay, and then click next. So I can give auto ID. Okay, so actually I can give some ID like 1 2 3 4. Okay, but rather like when I'm trying to create some ID from my app. Okay, so when I try to insert records from my app, it actually generates with auto ID. So when I'm creating some sample data itself, I will use auto ID. Like anyways, I can actually delete it later also. Okay, a collection must contain at least one document. Okay, what it says. Okay, the message is gone. Okay, the collection must contain at least one document, cloud FISO unit of storage, use an auto generator, or enter a column ID, custom ID if needed. Okay, so I'm going to have some username here. Okay, which will be Srikanth, and then I'm going to add some field here, message text, which will be hello, how are you? Okay, save. So now I have, it's like one table with some record. Okay, I can add another record, username Sham, I'm fine. Okay, here I have given message text. Let me copy this. So I just corrected the field here. So now both of them are having same kind of fields. Okay, so now let's go back to our app. So now here we have to access this collection. Okay, what we will be doing is we are going to access this collection over here, show the data over here, and whenever the send button is clicked, we are going to put some messages over here. Okay, so let's see how it works. So the first thing what you need to do is you need to access this collection reference over here. Okay, so how you will access that is collection reference. Okay, Firebase store instance dot collection of, and the collection path will be messages. Okay, so now we have, now we are actually having, we are actually accessing these messages here. Okay, so let's stop this app. So now I, like when I rerun this app, right? Okay, it says that Firebase initialize app has to be run. Okay, so no Firebase app has been created and you have to initialize the Firebase. So somewhere we have to actually run this code. So I will go to main and then I will call this before this, okay, and see how it works. It doesn't work here. What it says. Actually, it's not showing correct message, but it can be resolved using by importing. Like, let me see. Like, it is not showing correct message, but let me see if I can resolve it by importing a Firebase core package. Okay. So once I imported this Firebase core package, it got resolved. Okay. So now still we are having one more issue, okay, to resolve. What it says is, if you are running an application and need access to binary messages before run app, you need to add this code. Okay. So now let's refresh and see how it's working. So now you got the actual thing up and running. Okay. So now what I want to do now is I want to see what's there in this CR. Okay. So let me put it here. So it says it has got collection reference of message. Okay, so it is having some messages inside it. Okay, so let's try to see. I think we won't be able to read any messages from it, but let's try. Okay, dot. Let me try something like this. Okay, it's not working. So now it is slightly different. Say instance of something. Okay. Okay, let's see what's there. So it says that, okay, if you see here, it says that it has got an instance of future snapshot. Okay, which means that you won't be able to access it like this because it is something that's coming in future. Okay, when this part of code is actually called, it's not available. Okay, so okay, let me see if I can Okay, I can't do something like this. If I add await here, okay, this starts fading, right? So I can't do something like this. So let me remove this. Let me comment out this code as well. So now all I know is this is of future type. Okay, so now I need to I need to use some sort of future here in order to actually access the data. Okay, so for that what I could do is I need to use future builder. Okay, so let me go here. I will use future builder. And then I need to pass the future here. It will have the CR dot snapshots. Okay, so I can start filling. Let's see. See now, if you see here, it says that the argument type stream of query can't be assigned to parameter future dynamic. So what exactly it's saying this, you can't read the snapshot using a future builder. Okay, but it is a type of stream. Okay, so but which means that you need to use stream builder. Okay, stream builder will have something different. So it will have stream of data. Okay. So now almost everything is set. Now let's read from here. Okay. Here we have to now we'll have some data here. Now we have to, whenever the data is available, we have to populate that data here. So first of all, if data is not available, we have to show some circular progress indicator. If snapshot dot has data, return else we can actually populate a list view. Okay, so in order we need to loop through the data, right? Like we have some documents available now which is coming from Firebase. We have to loop through the data. Okay, we are going to return a list view which will actually shows the data, right? So list view dot builder. Okay, in item builder we are going to give this, and then we are going to return, okay, return this stuff. Okay, I'm going to delete all this thing. Okay, so now I am returning a list view builder that is going to process this snapshot data. Okay, so let me save and see how it is going till now. Okay, so now anyways, at least I don't have any errors. Okay, I don't have I have errors related to forming the data on the screen, but this is different. So actually I could resolve it like this. I can try adding an expanded widget and then see how it goes. Okay, so now you can see that it is actually populating some data, but this is the dummy data, right? Okay, let me access this snapshot, like this collection snapshot over here. Okay, I will remove this snapshot dot data dot documents of index. So now it is having some message, error message. We'll try to fix it. Okay, so I need to show username over here. So this is how I show it. Okay, same thing. I have to copy paste again. So what is the name we have given here? We have given message text. Okay. So there is some error message here. Let's see what is the error. So it is saying invalid value range. Okay. So we have to give specify some range over here for the list view builder. Okay. Items count snapshot dot data dot documents dot. So now we are actually able to get some data from the Firebase here, right? So let me improve this slightly. Okay, add some space. So now I have got some data which is being populated from the Firebase. So let me reverse it so that it will look much better, much more like a messaging app. Okay, so now it looks like some messaging app. Like if somebody types some message and click on send, it should also send the message. Okay, so let's add that functionality here. So how you can do that is, so whenever on press is done, message. Okay, so actually for this, for sending data to Firebase, okay, so especially whenever we are dealing with data, right, we have to create similar models at the code level also. Okay, whatever table we have, if that is having some 5 columns, we have to create similar model at programming level also, which will actually help us to send data by packaging it. Okay, so see, at very core level, the communication always happens like this. You have some data, you make it like a ball and then send it to the other end. Once they got the data, they will unwrap that ball and use that data. Okay, it's always like a ball game. Okay, you have some data, you will package it like a ball and then send that to the other end, and that guy will unwrap it and use it. Okay, so here so far we are getting some data. We are getting the ball from Firebase end and we are actually unwrapping it this way. When we actually have to send the data, we have to do that logic. Okay, so now we know that Firebase is having these 2 columns. So let's create a class for it. Okay, we'll create a class called message and then we will add some columns. Okay, username, like these properties will be same as what we have in Firebase. Okay, message text, right? Yeah, message text. Okay, so and then we need a constructor for it. Okay, so we got the constructor. Okay, so let's see if we can use it here. Message m is equal to message of, and then we have to pass the read this message box text here. Okay, So let's make this optional. Let's go here. So I can give username. Okay, username is string, right? I'll give something like Srika. Okay. Message text will be from message text box. Okay. I usually convert to toString of. Okay. So now we have got a message which we can send that to, like we have to pass this message to Firebase. Okay. So how we can do that is, so we are having this instance of Firebase collection, right? I'm going to use that cr dot, and we have some number of methods like this. Okay. And add is something what we are going to use. Okay. If you go for add, it takes map string dynamic data. Okay. This is the similar stuff what we did yesterday and day before yesterday. Okay. While like we are actually converting something into map string data in those examples in SQLite, SQFlite, and then Web API. So now also we have to do this similar stuff here. We're actually going to have a helper function which will actually convert our data into map string dynamic. Okay. How we could do that is, okay, I will create some map messages. Return username. See, this is actually where we are making that ball. Okay. So if you realize, we have used this similar message in last two examples, and again we are using. So this is like very common stuff we do when we are dealing with data. Okay. So it's like once you did it, you can use that in all your examples. Okay. So data will be m dot map messages of, and see if it works. So now I have got, like now I packaged everything into a ball and then trying to add that to the Firestore, like Firebase database. Okay. So let's keep this aside now. Okay. And keep this on the other side. And then now we are here. So let's see what will happen when we try to add. Okay. Where are you now? When I click send, you can see that the message is populated. Okay. And then again what happened is, automatically the list you got populated. Okay. Here if you observe, I am not populating list to you when I am actually sending some data to the Firestore. Okay. The Firestore itself is actually reading that data continuously. See, that is the benefit of Stream Builder. When it is Future Builder, it actually reads the data that comes in future. Whereas in Stream Builder, it will continuously pull the data from the source and then try to populate it. Okay. So let me add one more message here. I'm not sure it will work or not. Okay. Okay. Bye. Okay. See, it has populated. Okay. And then you can see the message is also added. Okay. By adding something like date column or something like that, you can actually sort it out properly. Okay. So if you, for example, just imagine someone else is having the same app opened, and then what will happen is they continuously can chart. Okay, so let me show that as well. Okay, so before that, what I want to do is I will stop this. I will actually load it. Okay, because I want to update the APK file, because like during hot reload I have updated the file, right? So the actual APK file will not have that code. Okay, once I reload it properly only it will have that code. So now the APK is actually loaded here. Okay, so now what I'll do is I will open another emulator. Okay, see, I have two emulators here. Okay, I have multiple emulators, but these two are two emulators. I am not opening the same emulator. Okay, this is a different one. Now I will load this app. Now I will load this app here. Okay, so let me do this stuff. Let me stop it first of all, and then load it again. It will load to this emulator. In the meantime, I will open app from here, which will be Firebase X1 example. Okay, so now I have two apps here, both are showing same data. Okay, I can do something like this. Emulator 1. Oh, sorry guys. Message from emulator 1, and then click on send, and then you can see that message from emulator 1 is appearing here. Okay, message from emulator 2, and then as I click send, you can see that it is appearing over here as well. Okay, so whoever is using this document database like cloud Firestore database will be able to access that message. Okay, so this actually unleashes so much of stuff when it comes to Firebase. Okay, like if you are actually using Firebase in your app, developing message apps or some real-time apps will be very much easy. Okay, with very much little code we are able to achieve it. The catch here is with very much small amount of code. Okay, we are not actually doing anything with state management. Okay, we are just using a stream builder to do that stuff. Okay, so I really can't like what I mean to say is this actually unleashes lot of potential with Flutter. Okay, you can create some amazing apps using Firebase database. Okay, let's see what you guys can build after learning this. So thank you so much guys for joining today. Have a good day.